What's going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? We are going to be dropping my first 2020 redraft. I'm very excited today. You see in the background, we got the correct draft order. We're going to be going through a 2K draft, and I'm going to be giving you guys what I would do in this 2020 redraft. Now, this is just my opinion. Remember that, please. And my thought process for this is just a year ago. So some teams have a different philosophy now. Like, for example, the Cavs. They didn't have Jared Allen last draft, so maybe I'll have them taking a center here. And stuff like that. You got to put that in consideration, what we know from the 2020 season. So if they have like a good 2020 season, but not great, like not LaMelo or Anthony Edwards or Halliburton great, like say he was good, respectable, like Patrick Williams, who had a solid season, but his potential is sky high. We could see it there, and we could see this guy being able to break out anytime soon. So that's why I could have him possibly high. And then also, if there was a good second round pick, I won't automatically put them in the top 10 because they had a top 10 rookie season. I think that also you got to take into account some of these players had bigger roles than other guys, like RJ Hampton. He didn't really have a big role in Denver, but had a pretty solid role in Orlando. But maybe the first half of the year, you've been like, yeah, I'll take Teo Maledon over him any day of the week. But we can see that Teo Maledon had a lot more opportunities in OKC than RJ Hampton did in Denver. So that's just for example, and I won't waste any more of your time. We can get into this draft where I'm going to be giving you guys all 30 picks here in the first round. If you guys do enjoy the redraft videos, feel free to drop a thumbs up. I'd be a happy man if you did. And we can get right into it here. So number one, I asked you guys on the community tab, I asked you guys on Twitter, who would you take in a 2020 redraft? LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards, the two best rookies from this season. At the moment, I am recording this. We still don't know Rookie of the Year. I think it's going to be Edwards due to games played, but it could also be LaMelo Ball. And I think, like, going into the future, I would definitely have LaMelo Ball. He's my number one player in this class. I would still take him no matter what over any other player. But since him and Anthony Edwards are so close, and I think that Edwards might fit the Timberwolves scheme a little bit more, I kind of like Anthony Edwards going number one once again. I think it's close enough where I could go either way. I could go LaMelo or I can go Anthony Edwards, but I don't think that it's just the range is far enough, or they're just far apart. The margin between them is enough where I would go, okay, definitely LaMelo Ball over Anthony Edwards, no questions asked. So I'm going to have Anthony Edwards go in that redraft, number one overall pick, because if they played well for their team, I think they would be fine with redrafting them. Which leaves something big here for number two, who was James Wiseman. I don't think James Wiseman was a top 3 rookie this year, and I think the Golden State Warriors, I think maybe Halliburton would fit them a little bit better, but knowing what we know now, they would most likely take LaMelo Ball with the second overall pick, pair him up with Curry. They would have, oh my God, Clay down the line, and Wiggins, and maybe Oubre, and Draymond, and Pascal. It would be fun to see LaMelo and Curry play. Now, I think, like I said, Halliburton might fit this team a little bit better, but in a redraft, you have to go LaMelo. Steph Curry isn't going to be there forever. He's 33. Like, this is going to be your franchise point guard in the next, 4 or 5 seasons. So you got to go LaMelo Ball in a redraft, second overall, no questions asked. And then 3, there's really no debate for 3, in my opinion, for the Charlotte Hornets. Yes, they could use a center in James Wiseman, but I'm not going to have them take him. I'm going to have them take the third best rookie this season, Tyrese Halliburton, a man that could shoot the ball at a good level and very efficiently. He can play defense above average and honestly very solid for a rookie as a guard. He doesn't turn it over, barely makes mistakes, has high basketball IQ, great in transition, a fantastic passer, not a bad rebounder, plays great off ball. Yeah, this man is like a perfect player. I've been saying that since my mock draft videos and my pre-draft videos from the last year's offseason before the draft. I love Tyrese Halliburton. I wish the Knicks took him at 8. I was very upset when they didn't. I thought he was the guy I really wanted, him and Killian Hayes. But that's besides the point. We'll get to that in a little bit. So Chicago at 4 gave me an interesting question. Do they go James Wiseman here, but already having Wendell Carter Jr. at the time, but I don't think that they would really value that too much because they ended up trading him anyway. But I think that they would go Patrick Williams still. He was good enough as a rookie. He was efficient. He was a very good defender. The size, the frame is still there. This guy, I think, will be a very good player in the NBA. I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after, but I think he will break out. People are kind of comparing him to a better defending Michael Porter Jr., but not as good of a shooter, but a little bit less of a shooter, better defender, but the size and frame are comparable. And I think that the Bulls in a redraft would still go Patrick Williams at 4 over James Wiseman. That might be a hot take. You can let me know down below if that's a hot take or not. I'm a fan of that, though. Like I said, I think that the team would stick with Patrick Williams. So I kind of hinted about this in the beginning of the video where I said things change, and the Cavs didn't have their franchise center in a redraft. So we go back to last year's offseason. They had Larry Nance, they had JaVale McGee, Kevin Love are their bigs. Yeah, they could have used another one, and if James Wiseman falls to 5 in this redraft, they got to do that. He was not great as a defender. If you look at the on-off numbers and net ratings for the Warriors when Wiseman ended up getting hurt, it was a lot better when he wasn't on the court. But I still think that he was good enough offensively. He could be a nice rim runner for Garland and Sexton in the future. Maybe you still get Jared Allen and you roll both of them out there. I don't know if the trade still happens, but you got to go James Wiseman here at 5 if that is the case. And you have Sexton in the backcourt. You have Wiseman. I think you go with that trio there over like taking, I guess, Okoro, who they originally took. Okay, now my 6th overall pick is kind of shocking. This man didn't play a crazy amount of minutes. He averaged about 15 a night. I didn't think he was going to be in the playoff rotation for this team, but he's been in the playoff rotation for them, and I think this guy is just so skilled as a scorer watching him play. And if this man got like LaMelo minutes or even like Teo Maledon minutes or Cole Anthony volume, he would be a 20-point per game scorer as a rookie. Yes, I believe that, and I think Atlanta would love this guy next to Trae Young. Not the greatest defender in the world, not the worst. Maybe he would just be an absurd sixth man right away, but you probably don't even know who it is, or maybe you do. I gotta even find where he is in 2K. Okay, he's not listed as a shooting guard. He's not listed as a point guard either. Where is he? Oh, there he is. So it's Tyrese Maxey. Yeah. I know you might be like, what? Tyrese Maxey? But I think if he had, like, even the volume as Emmanuel Quickley or, like, Sadiq Bey, he would end up having way better statistics. He was efficient. He was great with the ball in his hands. He was good at attacking the rim. That's something that young guards aren't great at, is having a high efficiency at the rim. Maxey was great at that, getting to the line a little bit. And I'm just a big fan of Tyrese Maxey. I think the Hawks would love his scoring ability there at 6, kind of like a Lou Will prototype, who could be something like that in his rookie season. And they would maybe view him as the second guard on that team next to Trae Young. I don't know if that would be their backcourt for the future. That might be the biggest riser, or the biggest, like, whoa, I did not expect you to do that of this video. Let me know down below. Do you agree with Maxey going that high at 6, or am I overvaluing what he did for Philly this year? Next up, we have the Detroit Pistons, and I'm going to have them select somebody that they ended up taking in real life, but not at 7, so it is not going to be Killian Hayes. I'm going to have them select Sadiq Bey, who they ended up taking at pick 19, so yeah, he's rising up 12 picks here. He was one of the better three-point shooters as a rookie, and I think the Detroit Pistons are very happy with their pick there. Probably their best rookie, and he was taken last out of all 3 of their picks after Hayes and Stewart. He won Rookie of the Month. He won Wait, no. I don't think he won Rookie of the Month, but he won Player of the Week. Yeah, he never won Rookie of the Month, but he was the February 15th Player of the Week. That's kind of crazy. Only rookie year to get a Player of the Week, and I think that the Pistons would take him here at 7. Maybe they would still take Hayes, because Hayes was unfortunate that he got hurt in the beginning of the year, and we really didn't see him at all in his rookie season. And he wasn't good in the games he played, but what rookie's going to be that good right away? So I thought that was normal that he ended up, like, not being good right away, and he was in Detroit, not the best players to play off of, and then he got hurt, which kind of sucks. So we're on the board here for the Knicks at 8, and I think they're going to go with a player that they ended up taking in this draft, but not at 8. It wasn't Obi Toppin. It was Emmanuel Quickley, the guy that they got at 25. That's why I think teams like, all right, if they played well for them, like Sadiq Bey played well for the Pistons and Emmanuel Quickley played well for the Knicks, they would be willing just to take their guy there, like in the redraft. I think they would be happy with their selection. Like the Knicks could go Killian Hayes here, like that's solid value, or maybe Isaac Okoro here as a defender. But I think that they would go Emmanuel Quickley in a redraft because he's their guy. They took him at 25. He was a top 7 rookie this season. I think they'd be very happy with him at 8 for what he could do in the floating game as one of the best floaters in the league. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's a nice spark off the bench. I don't know if he'll ever be a starting point guard because I don't really view him as a point guard. I view him as like an off-ball 2 kind of. And maybe he'll be an isolation 2 at some point. He's a little bit smaller, but I don't think he'll ever be like a true starting point guard in the league. Wizards here at 9, seeing Thomas Bryant go down and having to watch like Robin Lopez play, it was not good for Washington at all. Like they needed a big man. There is some good big men in this draft with Isaiah Stewart, Xavier Tillman, Precious Achiuwa, but I think we'd have them go Onyeka Okongwu, somebody that has all the potential in the world, was a little bit inconsistent this year due to injury. He has not been fully in their playoff rotation, but he's been getting a little bit of minutes. Not a whole lot though, but seeing the size, the frame, the defensive ability, somebody that can kind of replicate Bam Adebayo a little bit on the shot blocking end and kind of being able to handle the ball. I think Okongwu's like potential and upside for Washington at 9 is a no-brainer. I think that they need a big man desperately. Getting a wing is nice. Danny Avdija wasn't the worst rookie in the world, but I think they would go Okongwu here in a redraft with the 9th pick. So we're going to wrap out pick number 10 here, and it is not going to be Jalen Smith, arguably the worst rookie that played this season, that at least like wasn't hurt or overseas. and they took him at 10. They could have had Tyrese Halliburton. Imagine they still traded for Chris Paul and picked up Tyrese Halliburton. Oh boy. Maybe Campaign never would have broke out. But who cares? I'd rather have Tyrese Halliburton than Campaign. So the Suns were already good. I think in a redraft, they would like either some defensive ability in Okoro, but I'm not going to go Okoro. I'm actually going to go Desmond Bane. Somebody I thought should have definitely gone in the top 20. We all knew how good of a shooter he was going to be out of TCU. And the Grizzlies just trade up to 30 and they're like, this guy's still here? What are these other teams doing? Zach Kleiman snagged him at 30, and I think the Suns, who, like, he wouldn't be a main factor right away for this team, but kind of like what Cam Johnson was. They took him at 11, somebody that they know was going to give them some three-point shooting off the bench. Boom, you add Desmond Bane, arguably the best three-point shooter in this class at number 10. So, yeah, there is my top 10 in the 2020 redraft, as you can see it right here. Now we're on to number 11, where the San Antonio Spurs took a wing, a 3-and-D guy they projected out of Florida State, and Devin Vassell. Wasn't the greatest rookie this year, but I still think the upside is there. I'm not having them take Devin Vassell. I'm going to have them take somebody that struggled in the first half of the year on the offensive end, was a little bit better in the second half, but wasn't great, but I think is going to be one of the best defenders in this class, as he was last year, and we knew he was going to be going into the draft, and that is Isaac Okoro. He's going to be joining the San Antonio Spurs, a team that could use some defense. Imagine you had DeJounte Murray and Isaac Okoro out there. I'd be a fan of that. Even though Vassell's a good defender, I think Okoro is a better defender, and they've both been kind of the same offensively, and Okoro was probably better this season. On to 12, the Sacramento Kings. Rashawn Holmes will be a free agent in a year. They do lack big men with, like, Tyrese Halliburton off the board. They could consider Killian Hayes, but I'm going to have them actually go Isaiah Stewart out of Washington, a guy that's just been a bruiser inside in his rookie season. Got the rebounds, got the block shots, got the points. Now, he did have a higher volume role than some of the other big men in this draft, like Precious Achiuwa, just because he played on a pretty bad team, so he's able to play a little bit more. But I think that the Sacramento Kings would enjoy Isaiah Stewart. They would take the safe center prospect here over Precious Achiuwa and Xavier Tillman there and have him maybe succeed Rashawn Holmes or even Marvin Bagley in a year from now, when Bagley will be a restricted free agent in 2022 and Rashawn Holmes will be a free agent, I believe, this offseason, actually. Next up, we have a little bit of run on point guards. We're going to have the New Orleans Pelicans here at pick 13. Select Killian Hayes. Now, somebody that we didn't get to see a lot of this year for the Pistons, as I mentioned before, he was hurt. Kyle Lewis wasn't great for them when he played, but he didn't really get a lot of minutes. He was behind Lonzo and Eric Bledsoe. He didn't get to play a lot, but since, like, Hayes and Lewis, we didn't see a lot of them this year, I think they would go the guy that they would have definitely taken over Lewis during the 2020 draft. So I have the Pelicans taking Killian Hayes. Imagine Hayes and Lonzo, two combo guards working off each other. Oh, I would love that so much. So like I said, we're going to have a run on point guard. Celtics here at 14. They could definitely use a shot creator off the bench. They ended up adding Evan Fournier. They could use a guy that can get a bucket off the bench for this team that was already going to be, we thought, one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. It didn't turn out to be that this year. But I'm going to have them take Cole Anthony, a guy that was a top 10 rookie this year. I mean, that's not saying so much with this class, but he was very good. And I think he would be a beautiful eighth man for them. Just somebody that can create his own shot, knock down the three, which he did fairly well for a rookie guard this season. And I also said, I'm not done. I'm not done with the run on point guards here. We have one more going to the Magic here at 15. 3 in a row. This is going to be our first second round pick. I believe we have 2 second round picks. And oh, I forgot to mention this. I'm an idiot. I knew I should have had it in my notes tab where I made my redraft. Yeah, there's no Jae'Sean Tate in this draft. He was never in the 2020 class. He came over as an overseas player. He was signed. He was never going to be in the class anyway. That's why I'm not having him in the redraft. So please don't say, oh, where's Jae'Sean Tate? He would probably be in the top 7. So I had to clarify that. I don't know why I didn't do that in the beginning of the video. But yeah, we have our first second round pick. As I mentioned, I believe we have 2 in this class. And that's going to be Teo Maledon going to the Orlando Magic with the 15th overall pick. They get a guard. They end up going Cole Anthony. In real life, they get Teo Maledon here. I think they would be fine with that substitution. On the clock here at 16 for the Detroit Pistons, a team that knew they were going to be pretty bad for the next 2 to 3 years. So they're going to take somebody within high upside part of his game or type of skill, and that is Alexis Pokusevski, who spent some time in the G League, up in the pros, and he wasn't great. If you look at his efficiency, it was not good at all. 34 from the field, 28 from 3. But he had a couple games where it's like, okay, if this man just hits the gym, gets more NBA proper coaching, and the weight room, he will be a very valuable player because he could shoot the ball when he is on. He wasn't great, like I said, 20 from 3, not spectacular, but watching him ball out in some of the games where he played really well in the second half of the year, you're like, this guy could definitely be a starter one day. It's just going to take him some time. You look at him, he looks like a kid, right? And he's so skinny. Give him 4 to 5 years, he will be a good player in the NBA. Trust me, in Detroit, being where they are, like in their team state, they can wait on that. They don't need him right away. We got the OKC Thunder at 17, somebody that's had an okay rookie year. Not great, not the worst. He did start a couple games. He was on a team that was not good defensively. Didn't help that out for him. He actually shot the ball okay, 41 from the field, 31 from three. Not bad for a rookie, right? Like, you look at RJ Barrett as a rookie, he didn't shoot the ball that well, but you look at his sophomore season, you get a full off season, you get the more coaching, more training. They could definitely improve in their sophomore year. So I'm going to have the OKC Thunder take Denny Avdia, a team that can wait. And if this guy's going to be good in 2, 3, 4 years, they're not going to be great right away. They were one of the worst teams in the NBA this year. They probably won't be great next year either. I think Denny Avdia would be a nice part of their future and a redraft. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks, a team that took Josh Green, who didn't really play at all for them this year, and a team that could have definitely used another rotational guy in the playoffs that could command the ball and shoot threes. And after losing Seth Curry in the offseason, well, trading him away, and they regret that trade a lot, I'm going to have them take Peyton Pritchard, who shot 41% from three for the Boston Celtics here. He would be a great bench piece for them when they were in their playoff hunt this year and ended up losing in 7 to the Clippers. They could have used his shooting off the bench because nobody else could really hit a shot for Dallas besides Luka. So Detroit got Sadiq Bey, the best guy they've taken, and they've taken a high upside player in Pukaszewski. I'm going to have them take another high upside guy, somebody that wasn't great or didn't really play a lot in Denver, and then he gets traded for Aaron Gordon at the deadline, and he actually played pretty well in a more volume and or just a higher usage role in Orlando and RJ Hampton. So they don't get Killian Hayes in this draft, but they get possibly a franchise guard or just maybe their starting guard going forward in RJ Hampton here at 19. I like that value for them. At 20, we are going to have the Miami Heat take a big, and with Precious Achiuwa on the board, you might be like, man, they're going to take a big. You said before that they might like their guy, but I think they might like their guy, but there's somebody that was better this year who played meaningful minutes for the Memphis Grizzlies to get to the playoffs. Xavier Tillman, he's actually the second round pick we're going to have, so we're going to have 3. I kind of completely forgot that he was a second round pick. Absolutely love that pick for Memphis. Like, if you watch my draft grade video after the draft, you could, hear me say that I love the Desmond Bane pick, and I love the Xavier Tillman pick. So we're going to have the Heat take Tillman there at 20. On to the Sixers here at 21. Maxey obviously went number 6, so they're not going to be able to get that guy, but you know, a team like Philly, they can always use some shooting. So somebody that didn't really play at the start of the year, he was hurt, but ended up shooting 37% from 3 on the season. They would love to have him come off the bench. Aaron Nesmith out of Vanderbilt, who ended up going with the last pick in the lottery to Boston, goes here at 21 to the Philadelphia 76ers. All right, I was completely wrong. We have 4 second-round picks in this free draft. I should have, I don't know. I'm dumb, you know. So we're on the board here at 22 for the Nuggets. It's going to be our 3rd second-round pick. It's going to be Kenyon Martin Jr. of the Houston Rockets. He was drafted by them, and he's somebody that might be like, okay, he was good this year, but could he be able to perform like that and play those meaningful minutes like he did in Houston on a good team that's contending for a playoff spot, or just that was pretty good this year? They didn't have a lot of injuries, and their roster really wasn't that good in Houston. But Kenyon Martin Jr., I like what he did this year. I think he could have been an impact player for Denver, a team that's out with like PJ Dozier, Jamal Murray, Will Barton. They could use another wing player like Kenyon Martin Jr. 3/4, because Zeke Naji wasn't really too much for them this year, but I think that they could use Kenyon Martin Jr. So we're on the clock here at 23 for Minnesota, and I think they could go Precious Achiuwa here. They could go Obi Toppin, and it was between one of these two guys. I think that they still possibly like Obi Toppin. He played a little bit better in the playoffs than he did throughout the regular season. In the first half of the year, he looked lost on offense. He looked lost on defense. He really didn't have a three-point shot. It sucks because the Knicks took Obi Toppin to be their franchise power forward because they expected Randall to be like 20 Randall and not be a good player, decline his team option this offseason, and give the reign to Obi Toppin. But something happened that none of us were expecting. Randall leads the team to the 4 seed, gets most improved, and was an all-star. And probably going to make an all-NBA team. Nobody thought this was going to happen. So Obi didn't really get the volume and the usage we all thought he was going to get this year. So I think maybe in a higher volume role in Minnesota, he'd be a nice value pick for them at 23. At pick 24, the Denver Nuggets are going to take another wing player. Like I mentioned, they were without Will Barton in the playoffs. They could have used another wing guy to give them some 3-and-D help. I mean, he wasn't really much of a 3 this year, but he wasn't that bad. Shot 34% from 3, didn't really get a lot of minutes. I could definitely see Devin Vassell getting a lot more playing time next year, especially if the Spurs don't re-sign DeMar DeRozan. I think he'd be a nice piece for the Denver Nuggets future, and honestly, they're getting Kenyon Martin Jr., Devin Vassell in a redraft. Not bad for your future wing depth. So on the board here at 25, we have the New York Knicks, who got Emmanuel quickly with this pick, but they're going to get a guard that ended up going in the lottery that's still available here, Kira Lewis, and he's just going to be the Emmanuel Quickly replacement. I knew they were going to take a guard here. Either it's Malachi Flynn, Saban Lee, Nico Mannion, Trey Jones, but the way this redraft fell, Kyle Lewis here at 25. The Knicks had to scoop him here, 100%. Celtics on the board at 26, and they get a big man, a rim protector for the future that they could definitely use. Now, Robert Williams was good this season, but why not add more depth there? That's somebody that could emerge as their starting center one day, or even the starting power forward, who knows? And that's Precious Achiuwa, who went 21. He's going to go 5 picks later to the Boston Celtics. 27 for the Utah Jazz. I didn't really agree with the Udoka Azubuike pick, and spoiler alert, he will not be going in this redraft. I'm going to have them select Jaden McDaniels, who ended up going 28th, technically to the Lakers, was traded to the Timberwolves, and I just like the value there. Somebody that can score for you off the bench, give you some length and some size there. Like, obviously they have Derek Favors and the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, but for coming off the bench, not a bad player at all to have in Jaden McDaniels. 28th, the Timberwolves. This is I don't know if this is a lazy redraft pick, but I'm going to have them still take Leandro Barmaro. He played overseas, was good overseas. He's going to, I think, come back this year, and I'm very excited to watch him play. People compare him a little bit to Luka, a little bit of Goran Dragic, and I think Barmaro would be the safe pick here for Minnesota at 28. Last 2 picks here are point guards at 29. I'm going to have the Raptors still select the man that they took at 29 in real life. Malachi Flynn was good for them. You could even have an argument for him to go higher in this redraft. So at 29, Raptors would definitely be more than happy to get their guy still in a redraft. And at 30, the Grizzlies aren't going to get as good of a pick as Desmond Bane, who went 20 picks higher at 10. But they're going to get a guy that showed some flashes for Detroit this year, who is my 4th and final second-round pick drafted. And that is going to be Saben Lee out of Vanderbilt. I like what he could do with the ball in his hands, and maybe, like, I mean, the Grizzlies do have a lot of guards, so maybe they would end up going with a wing or a big, but on the board here, maybe they go Josh Green, maybe, in the first round still, because they do have Melton and Allen and Jones and Ja, but I like what Saben Lee did this year, and not all those guys will be there going forward. So main honorable mentions that I had were Zeke Naji, Nico Mannion, and Trey Jones. Also consider just having, like, Josh Green in here as well, just because, like, I know they weren't great, or they didn't really play a lot in their rookie season, but I would still give a first round pick on them. I liked Robert Woodyard a lot too, but I guess it would be Josh Green and Zeke Naji as my honorable mentions. But that is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a like if you did. This is my 2020 NBA redraft. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with down below. And like I said, if you did enjoy the video, feel free to drop a thumbs up. Let's see if we can get it 1,500 likes. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.